One of history's biggest lies we've been taught is this. The Middle Ages were the Dark Ages. People lived in misery. But researchers from Oxford University made a shocking discovery last year. Medieval peasants worked less, experienced less stress, and were healthier than modern people. Why have they hidden this truth from us? Because this truth shakes the fundamental assumptions of the modern system. If a peasant who lived 700 years ago had a better life than you, then is what we call progress really progress? Today I'm going to tell you these shocking truths with evidence. And by the end of this video, you might decide to fundamentally change your lifestyle. Because the life secrets that medieval peasants knew could be the cure for the modern epidemic of depression, anxiety, and burnout. History's biggest lie. This story begins in the 19th century. During the Industrial Revolution, factory owners wanted to make workers work long hours. But how would they convince people to accept this harsh life? The solution was simple: make the past look bad. The narrative everything was bad in the old days was created. The Middle Ages were labeled as Dark Ages. Peasants were portrayed as ignorant, miserable, and unhappy. This propaganda was so successful that it still continues today. What we're taught in school is, thank goodness we live in the modern age. The old days were terrible. But the reality is completely different. The shocking truth about working hours, according to research by economist Juliet Shore from Oxford University, medieval peasants worked an average of 1,140 hours per year. Modern American workers work 1,080 hours per year. This means a 14th century peasant worked 37% less than you. But how is that possible, you might ask? Very simple: seasonal work system. Imagine a peasant named Thomas living in 1350. His year goes like this: spring, March, May, intensive work period, planting, seed preparation, animal care, working 8-10 hours a day. Summer, June, August, moderate intensity work, hay cutting, garden maintenance, working 6 to 8 hours a day. To September, November, intensive period again, harvest time, working 8-10 hours a day. Winter, December, February, rest period, 2 to 4 hours of light work per day, mostly at home, storytelling, handicrafts, social activities. Annual average, 6 hours per day. You work 8-10 hours a day for 12 months. You never have a real rest period. Social security system. But they didn't have social security, you might say. You're wrong. Their social security was stronger than ours. 1. Community support. Every village had a common land system, common areas, common resources. Nobody went hungry. In case of illness, the whole village helped. 2. Craft guilds. Urban craftsmen were members of powerful guilds. These guilds provided more effective protection than modern unions. Full support in cases of illness, old age, economic crisis. 3. Church system. The church wasn't just a religious institution, it was also a social security institution. It operated hospitals, orphanages, elderly care homes. According to research by Harvard historian Barbara Tuchman, social exclusion was nearly impossible in medieval society. Everyone had a place in society. Nutrition quality. But their nutrition was poor. This is a modern myth. According to research by Cambridge University archaeologist Christopher Dyer, the medieval peasant's diet was much healthier than the modern fast food era. Typical peasant diet: fresh organic vegetables grown by themselves, whole grain bread, unprocessed, fresh fruits, seasonal, dairy products from their own cows, meat 2 to 3 times a week, antibiotic-free, beer instead of water because it was safer. Modern diet: processed foods, 60 to 70%, very high sugar content, pesticide residues, preservatives, fast food. Result: according to Oxford University research, medieval peasants had 40% less obesity, 50% less heart disease, and 60% less diabetes than modern people. Mental health advantage. This is perhaps the most shocking section. According to research by Yale University psychologist Tim Kasser, in societies with strong social bonds, depression rates are 80% lower. Medieval peasant society was exactly like this. 1. Strong family bonds. Families lived together, worked together, spent time together. Children grew up with grandparents. There was no modern nuclear family isolation. 2. Social rituals, regular festivals, religious ceremonies, village events. People constantly came together. Loneliness is a modern phenomenon. 3. Meaningful work. The peasant saw the results of his work. He harvested the wheat he planted, made his own bread. There was no modern meaningless job problem. 4. Connection with nature. They worked 8 to 10 hours a day outdoors in touch with nature. Modern research shows that contact with nature is critical for mental health. According to Dr. Edward Wilson's biophilia theory, when people are disconnected from nature, they experience psychological distress, time perception difference. Perhaps the biggest difference is here. Medieval peasants lived by natural time, not clock time. Natural rhythm, waking at sunrise following daylight, feeling seasonal changes, observing lunar cycles. Modern artificial time, forced awakening with alarm clocks, working in artificial light, same routine regardless of season, disconnection from natural rhythms. According to research by Stanford University chronobiologist Russell Foster, stress hormones are 300% higher in people who cannot adapt to natural time. Economic freedom. But they had no money. This is the wrong perspective. There was no money, but there was economic independence. Subsistence economy. The peasant produced his own food, built his own house, sewed his own clothes. External dependency was minimal. Modern humans are 95% externally dependent. Everything you eat, wear, and live in depends on others. Barter system. Even without money, there was an exchange system. Trading eggs, milk with neighbors, work product exchange with masters. This system provided these advantages: no debt slavery, resistance to economic crisis, strong community solidarity, leisure time reality. This part will blow your mind. In medieval Europe, there were 115 official holiday days per year, 52 Sundays, 30 plus religious holidays, 20 plus local festivals, 10 plus royal celebrations. In total, 1/3 of the year was holiday. These holidays were real holidays too. Work was forbidden, entertainment and rest were mandatory. Modern workers take 10 to 20 days of vacation per year. And even on vacation, they check emails. Which system is more humane? Technology paradox, but technology made life easier. Really? According to MIT anthropologist David Graeber's bullshit jobs research, modern technology has made most jobs meaningless. Medieval peasants did meaningful work, producing food, building shelter, benefiting society. 37% of modern workers think their job is completely unnecessary. Stress and anxiety. The biggest problems of the modern world: stress, anxiety, depression. According to WHO data, 280 million people experience depression. 301 million people have anxiety disorders. Suicide rates at historic highs. These problems were much rarer in the Middle Ages. Why? 1. Predictable life. Peasant life was predictable. There was a clear pathway of birth, marriage, death. There was no modern uncertainty, anxiety. 2. Community support. In mental health crises, community support was automatic. There was no modern isolation. 3. Spiritual framework. Strong religious belief gave meaning to life. Modern existential crisis was rare. 4. Physical activity. Daily life required physical activity. There was no modern sedentary lifestyle. Environment and sustainability. Medieval peasants lived 100% sustainably. Renewable energy, wind, water, muscle power, zero waste, everything recycled. Local production, minimal transport. Organic farming, no pesticides. Carbon footprint was about 5% of modern humans. Is the solution to climate change in the past? Education and knowledge. But they were ignorant. Another myth. Yes, literacy rates were low, but practical knowledge was very high. The peasant knew how to predict weather, how to read soil, plant properties, animal behavior, handicrafts, storytelling. This knowledge is more valuable than information learned on Facebook. Health system, but they died young. Partially true. Infant mortality was high, but peasants who reached age 21 died on average at 64. Not much different from modern humans. Plus, the quality of old age was better. Dementia was rare. Community care was strong. Meaningful role in society. The cost of the modern system. So what does the modern system cost? Mental health crisis, 400% increase in antidepressant use. Therapy, industry worth billions. Suicide epidemic. Physical health problems. Obesity, epidemic diabetes. Pandemic, heart disease, top killer. Social problems, family breakdown, community dissolution, political polarization, environmental destruction, climate change, mass extinction resource depletion. Is this really progress? Solution: neo-medieval lifestyle. So should we return to the Middle Ages? No, but we can adapt some principles. 1. Work-life integration, seasonal work rhythm, intensive periods plus rest periods. 2. Community building, local connections, neighborhood relations, extended family bonds. 3. Natural rhythms, circadian cycle respect, seasonal awareness, nature connection. 4. Meaningful work, purpose-driven career, contribution to society, skill development. 5. Simple living, minimalism, sustainability, self-sufficiency skills. 6. Ritual and celebration, regular festivals, community gatherings, shared traditions, modern application examples, Denmark model, work-life balance priority, strong social safety net, high community engagement, top happiness index, Amish communities, selective technology use, strong family bonds, meaningful work, focus, excellent mental health, Scandinavian countries, nature connection priority, seasonal lifestyle adaptation, strong social solidarity. You can start tonight. 1. Digital sunset, no screens after 8 p.m. 2. Seasonal eating, choose local, seasonal food. 3. Community connection, get to know your neighbors. 4. Natural rhythm, try to wake up with the sun. 5. Meaningful activity, a hobby that creates something. 6. Weekly Sabbath, 1 day a week of complete rest. Conclusion: what Thomas, who lived 700 years ago, can teach you. Time is real wealth. Community support in his life insurance. Natural rhythm is the key to health. Meaningful work is the source of happiness. Simple living brings freedom. The modern world tells you you live better, but the data shows the opposite. Maybe real progress is combining the wisdom of the past with modern tools. The world where Thomas worked 4 hours a day, had strong community bonds, and lived in harmony with nature wasn't a utopia, it was a reality. And creating a modern version of this reality is possible. Call to action. After watching this video, write in the comments how you will change your lifestyle. Which aspect of modern life have you started questioning? Which element of medieval peasant life surprised you most? Share this information with your friends, because this perspective shift needs to happen socially. Don't forget to like. In the next video, we'll talk about the Viking education system. That will also blow your mind. Remember, progress isn't always forward. Sometimes looking backward can be the most forward step.